What is currently happening, programs? Welcome to the Grid VR, where I'll be bringing you this week's news in virtual reality. It's Sunday the 15th of October 2017, and all I can say this week is connect my 4. We've got new hardware from Oculus, new software from Oculus, Valve's next-gen lenses and tracking, the Titanfall devs go AAA VR, Onward goes native, DK2 open source, Blade Runner VR, Arktika 1, and very way much more. Today, I'm going to cover off the main events to keep you in the loop. So stay locked, crush that like button, enjoy, and welcome to the Grid VR. Oculus Connect 4 was on this week in San Jose, and we got a shit ton of huge announcements. Remember that sale that time that Oculus Rift and Touch with $399? Well, now that's the price permanently. And you know what that means. It's time for a slew of VR articles from out-of-touch tech journalists who don't own or use VR, saying that this is a sure sign that VR is dead. Okay, Dad, nothing to do with competition from this, or this, or you get the idea. The sale was backed with a stellar promo video that conveyed the possibility and escapism of VR for the masses. And you can check the description if you want to watch that clip. Ever wanted to just fuck off into the distance with plastic goggles strapped to your face? Well, Hugo Barra, who is the vice president of VR at Oculus, gave us new info on the high-end, completely standalone, meaning no PC at all, wireless Rift prototype codenamed Santa Cruz. This is the first standalone unit that gives users 6 DOF, aka 6 degrees of freedom inside-out tracking for both the headset and the controllers. This means that the unit can track both your head movements and your location in a space, like room scale, but with a theoretically endless room. Using the same constellation tracking as an Oculus Rift, 4 top and bottom mounted wide-angle cameras, instead of 2 like on the Microsoft MR systems, gives programs a much wider controller tracking range. Santa Cruz will come with new controllers that are similar to Touch, though the rings are inverted for better visibility to the headset, and they will have touch pads instead of analog sticks, similar to Vive ones. The head strap will be rigid at the front and rubber at the back, which is the opposite of a Rift, and the strap will house a set of small stereo speakers providing spatial audio to the user. 3.5mm audio jacks will also be included if you want to plug in your own headphones. Next-gen Fresnel lenses are being used, as well as a higher res display than an Oculus Rift, giving the unit a superior visual quality. All up, this is one sick piece of VR kit, and it's a great step in the direction towards Oculus's vision of mass-market wireless VR. Dev kits start rolling out in 2018 though, so don't expect a full commercial release until late next year or early 2019. Hugo also announced the fully self-sufficient mobile VR option, the Oculus Go, which is essentially Oculus's answer to the Gear VR, but better, you know, now that Samsung is kind of doing its own thing. The Oculus Go uses 3 degrees of freedom tracking on the headset and controller that comes bundled with the unit, meaning that it can track your rotational head movements, but not your position in a space. This makes it great for stationary applications where you don't need to physically move around the room. The Oculus Go uses 2 high-res fast switch 1440p LCD screens that have a higher pixel fill factor than OLEDs in order to improve the visual clarity and reduce SDE, aka screen door effect, versus other mobile options. Second-gen lenses reduce lens glare and give the unit the same field of view as a Rift, which is about 9 degrees more than a Gear VR. Similar to Santa Cruz, there are little stereo speakers built into the straps, and a 3.5mm headphone jack is there if you want to use your own headphones. New fabric is used on the facial interface, which is soft and breathable, and the Oculus Go is priced at $199 and set for an early 2018 release. So overall, the quality and field of view is better than Gear VR. You don't have to attach a smartphone, it won't overheat in minutes, and to top it all off, Oculus Go apps are binary compatible with Gear VR, which means that apps built for Gear VR will be usable on Oculus Go. To me, assuming you already own a smartphone and considering that a Gear VR is around the $130 mark, I'd easily pick the Oculus Go for an extra $70 for a more complete, streamlined, and higher quality experience. This is the mobile VR option of next year, and it's at a price that makes it an affordable gift, and that's where you can start to really see the mass market appeal of a unit like this. But it does beg the question, how the fuck are they stuffing that much tech in such a small space?
It's in that place where I put that thing that time.
Now, for those of you who are thinking that it's bullshit, there are no drastic announcements about improvements in field of view, especially since the Pimax 8K is going to be rocking a 200-degree field of view, check the link in the description and John Carmack will explain some of the trade-offs there and why it makes more sense to keep the field of view limited for now with the intention of maximizing the overall quality of your VR experience. Once Hugo Barra was done whispering sweet nothings in our ears, Nate Mitchell stepped up to the podium and started talking dirty, and we like dirty. The co-founder and head of Rift at Oculus announced a complete redesign of the Rift's core experience called Core 2.0. This is an advancement in software and user experience built with touch in mind, instead of a gamepad like the current Oculus Home, and it includes two key components, Oculus Home 2.0 and Dash. Oculus Home 2.0 is a fully redesigned launcher environment that you can customize with toys, furniture, artwork, and more as you see fit. Games will optionally appear as cartridges, achievements can be put on display, and you can visit your friends in their homes or have them visit yours. This is very much like H's basement in Ready Player One, and the same as what SteamVR has had for a while now. The beta will begin to roll out in December this year for those of us subscribed to the Oculus public test channel, followed by everyone else shortly after. Oculus Dash, on the other hand, is a completely different animal, and easily my favorite announcement of Oculus Connect. Dash replaces the current home app launcher and universal menu with a VR overlay hub that you can access anytime from anywhere in VR, including inside a game. It shows all your games and apps, includes a virtual keyboard, and allows you to change the game or app you are playing smoothly right from Dash, so you don't have to go from a game to menu to home to void and then back into another game or app just to change games. Most impressively is that you can pin desktop windows over top of experiences. So you could, for example, pin Twitch chat to a spot while you are streaming VR, or artists can pin pictures for reference in Medium, or you could bring up a Spotify music player, YouTube videos, or a message app to message friends without ever leaving the game or app you are using. And you may be thinking, wow, that's going to be really cool for me. Well, it's not all about you, you selfish bastard. It's demonstrated by Brandon Dillon, who is the creative director for Farlands. Brandon showed a clip of himself developing an environment in Unity where he used Dash to bring up Unity inside VR and change the color of the sky in real time. So now, development times can be sped up drastically in these sorts of situations. Damn cool. Cross-platform avatars will also be available early next year, meaning your avatars will translate over to other VR environments like SteamVR. And updates on the avatars themselves will bring more clothing and color options, as well as the continuing development of more expressive facial features like mouth and eye movement. Venues will also be a thing and will allow you to watch live concerts in a virtual VR venue, as well as host movie and TV premieres. The Explore API will also be available for Gear VR developers, which will help them promote their content through stories in a new Oculus Explore section of Oculus Home, and this feature will also be coming to the Rift in 2018. Back to hardware, the Oculus DK2 has been open sourced by Oculus, meaning that anyone can now use the design in their own projects.
But for what, you ask? World domination? Nay.
So people can mod and hack. Similar to when Valve opened up SteamVR tech for free and people started modding Gear VRs to include full 6DoF positional tracking using Valve's Lighthouse technology. What's the point? There is no point. That's the point. And if I have to explain the point, then you're probably not going to get the point. Modding is modding, and modding is fun for some. And that's kind of the point.
You get me. You do get me. is of paramount importance that you get me.
All up, there was a lot covered at Oculus Connect this year, and I've put a link to the full keynote in the description below. Aside from all this Oculus chit-chat, Valve has made some huge announcements, including new lenses, updated base stations, and software to unify it all to provide third-party manufacturers with the means to produce best-in-class VR systems. The new lenses are designed to support both OLED and LCD screens, the latter of which has come a long way recently with advancements in fast-switching liquid crystals, low-persistence backlights, and high PPI displays. In addition, the lenses support 85 to 120 degree field of view depending on the display being used. And while 120 degree field of view may sound disappointing to some, again, I'll refer you to the John Carmack talk in the description. Following up from a press release in June, Joe Ludwig has posted on the SteamVR tracking HDK board that Valve's new base stations featuring SteamVR Tracking 2.0 will start shipping in early 2018. The new, smaller and more efficient base stations will not work with existing HTC Vives, but will work with upcoming headsets and track devices. At launch, the units will only work in pairs, but in early 2018, that will be expanded to 4 units at a time, allowing the Tracking 2.0 base stations to provide a massive 10 meter by 10 meter play space, which is 33 square foot for those of you on the Imperial system. Big news from Valve, and if you're thinking of developing the next big VR headset or need a commercial sized play space, then check the link in the description below for a starting point. And briefly, you know it's a big week when Arktika 1 hitting the shelves is in this segment. To be fair, I have covered this game a few times, but for those of you who missed it, the first-person post-apocalyptic shooter from 4A Games is set in the futuristic frozen landscapes of what used to be Russia, and is up on the Oculus Store right now for $30. There is also an accompanying short story called My Name is Victoria on Amazon for less than $1, and you can check the description for a link to this readable side story as well. A free Blade Runner experience based in the same 2049 world as the new movie is coming to the Rift on October 19th, followed by a Gear VR release on October 26th. Memory Lab was filmed using Microsoft's holographic capture rig and has a sharp blending of CGI graphics and live capture that should be the standard for any VR experience, as opposed to the shit we've had so far. Check the description below for a link to the Blade Runner VR experience trailer and to see a clip on how Microsoft holographic capture works. Respawn, the game studio whose founders bought us all the pre-2010 Infinity Ward Call of Duty goodness and the more recent Titanfall franchise, is developing a AAA Oculus-funded VR title. There is almost zero details so far, but we do know it is combat-based, features real simulated soldiers, and will be out sometime in 2019. Space Pirate Trainer has made it out of early access with new weapons, power-ups, enemies, and improvements. The game puts you inside a Galaga-like arcade shooter with blasters and 80s themed electronica. Fucking solid game, and I'd recommend having a look at the reviews at the very least before passing this one up, as the negative reviews are rare as rocking horse shit. 33% off until the 20th of October as well, so now is the time. Lone Echo will be seeing a sequel or continuation of the story in the future, and its counterpart, the online multiplayer friendship test Echo Arena, is getting a FPS mode called Echo Combat. Fuck all details on this one either, except that it's out in 2018. Heads up too, you've got until October 20th, so less than a week, to pick up Echo Arena for free from the Oculus Store. Onward, one of the big 3 VR military sims, which was previously SteamVR only, is coming to the Oculus Store next month, which means full touch controller and Oculus SDK support, so hopefully no more holding down them thumbsticks to run. A new story-driven VR puzzle adventure game set during a dystopian sci-fi Cold War is coming to Rift sometime in the near future. Red matter puts you in the boots of an astronaut tasked with investigating a top-secret research project, where you'll use a variety of tech tools to decipher clues and puzzle-based mechanisms. Looks cool, though there is no release date yet. The Invisible Hours is a murder mystery VR game where you must observe a mansion populated by 7 strangers brought together by the enigmatic Nikola Tesla in order to find out who killed the man himself. None of the guests are who they seem, and you must unravel the clues in this intricate web of interwoven stories with strong roots in the stories of Agatha Christie. A $30 price tag on this one, and the game is up now on the Oculus Store and Steam. The sensational grappling hook exploration game Windlands is getting a sequel on Rift, Vive, and PSVR in 2018. If you've ever wanted to swing through the ruins of a fallen world with your friends in a multiplayer experience with combat elements, then stay tuned for updates on this one. Elevator to the Moon has been remixed for VR and is available now for Gear VR and Rift. The president of the world, Doug Slater Rockmeyer, demands that you repair his broken space elevator to the moon, no less. And you can follow those demands or just do what you want to piss him off. Hilarity is guaranteed to ensue in this job simulator-esque puzzle-based outing, and for the $5 price tag, I really don't think you can go wrong here. Turtle Rock Studios, the devs of Left 4 Dead and Face Your Fears, have dropped a turn-based fantasy RPG game called The Well. Defend your home planet from an evil force by recruiting companions in this stylized fantasy fest on the Gear VR. Pixar's upcoming movie Coco is getting a social VR experience to coincide with its release. Not a lot of info on this one yet, but you will be able to play through the experience with friends on the Rift and Gear VR in the near future. TPcast, the wireless add-on for the HTC Vive, is coming to Rift before the end of this year. The unit cuts the cable and lets programs experience 90 FPS wireless high-end VR with minimal added latency. The TPcast for the Vive had a $300 price tag, so not cheap, but if the cable really must go, then this is currently the best option out there. Sony has released a VR fan-made rebuild of Level 1 from the Green Hill Zone of Sonic the Hedgehog. The level features Sony's custom walker motion method of VR movement, where you actually have to walk on spot to move or hop to jump in-game. I love this game and really worked up a sweat playing it this way, and while the movement method does take some getting used to, once I was used to it, it was a lot of fun. This one is good to go on the Rift and Vive, and there is a link in the description below to the download. I'll also have a tutorial for this and Sony's Super Mario VR game up in a couple of days. Also, The Unspoken is getting a single-player campaign called The Unspoken Acolytes. Rec Room is now available for PSVR players. Big Screen raised a monumental $11 million in funding, and the Oculus Rift won Hardware of the Year at the VR Awards 2017. God damn, there's so much on this week. And finally, the company that had one good product ever, Nokia, is killing the Ozo camera and blaming the failing VR market. Heads up Nokia, VR is doing better than the iPod at the same stage in its life cycle, so if your product is failing in the VR market, it's not the VR market. It's your approach or your product. Ownership is for adults. And that's this week on the Grid VR. If you have more you would like to add, then hit me up in the comments below and let's discuss. And if you like this video, then crush that like button, hit the XO logo to subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!